guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things, and today we are going to rank all of the Green Rangers. In the past, we've done the Red Rangers, which I really feel like I need to redo because I forgot people. Just kind of feel differently about it now, to be completely honest with you, so I do want to redo that one, but I think I'm going to go through all the other colors first and then redo that one, so look forward to that. So today I want to go through all of the Green Rangers, whether they are 6th Rangers or not, just the Green Rangers, and rank them all from my least favorite to my favorite. So here we go. Let's just jump right into it. There are 13 Green Rangers in total, spanning over the seasons that we have, mostly because there's not always a Green Ranger. A lot of times there's either a Green Ranger or a Black Ranger. Sometimes there is both, sometimes there is neither. But for the most part, green and black are the ones that are interchanged, are the most interchangeable colors, which is why this particular color and black, as we will see when we get there, have the least amount. I think there's actually less Black Rangers than there are Green Rangers. I think there are more Green Rangers than there are Black Rangers. Anyway, and if I'm missing anything from comic book lore, I don't know it, except for the Green Psycho Ranger, but he will not be part of this because he's not a Power Ranger, he's a Psycho Ranger. So just throwing that disclaimer out there. I've not gotten anywhere in the comics just yet, so let's just do it. Number 13 is Mike from Power Rangers Samurai. I dislike him so much that actually what's written on my notes is Samurai. Like, I didn't even care to look up his name when I was making my list. Luckily, I just remembered it. I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's Mike, I think. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The Samurai Green Ranger. So here's the thing. I don't like Samurai. I have not seen Samurai since I first watched it in 2013. I'm not a fan of it. I do not enjoy it. I think that it's terrible. But mostly the acting from everybody in that series, it's just bad. It is just bad. I think Paul Schreier is the only good actor. You know, I mean, I guess Ricardo Medina isn't terrible, but it's bad. It's all just bad. All of it is just bad. So there's really not much I can say about Mike. I don't like anything involving his story. I don't like anything involving his acting. Just nothing about it. He got the love story. That's all there is to talk about. Let's just move on. Number 12 on my list is Joel from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. And I know this is probably going to hit a lot of people real hard because a lot of people really like Joel, and I don't understand why. The actor is atrocious. It is no mystery that I'm not a big fan of Lightspeed Rescue. I think there are good aspects to Lightspeed Rescue, but the acting is not one of them. One of the things I love pointing out to people is just the theme song alone. Now, granted, I know it actually happens in the show, but when you see his actor jumping over a fence or a gate or whatever it was he was jumping over, I can't remember, there is nothing in his eyes. Like, it's like, I gotta do this stunt. Like, that in itself, looking at him being like, I gotta do a stunt now, like, that is not the way you should have your eyes be. Like, you should have purpose when doing the stunt because you are doing something, and it's just bad. Plus, I find his character very problematic because he keeps chasing after a girl who is showing very little interest in him. Granted, she does eventually show interest in him, but that's incredibly problematic in my mind. If a girl does not show you, or a boy, if the person you are attracted to is not showing interest, you back off. You don't become basically their stalker. I don't know. I find him incredibly problematic, and his actor is not good. I just don't like him at all. Like, it's just, there's nothing redeemable about the character or the acting, and that's just where I stand. So I apologize if I offended you with that, because I'm afraid of talking about anything Lightspeed Rescue because I'm always afraid that people are going to be really mad at me. But truth be told, it's not a great season, you guys. So I don't understand why it's so loved by people. I just don't get it. Number 11 is Jake from specifically Power Rangers Super Mega Force. Because as you guys know, Jake actually changes colors between Mega Force and Super Mega Force because they do actually change Sentais between the two seasons. And so Jake is technically a Green Ranger. So there you go. But he is a Black Ranger as well. So he'll be on 2 of these lists. I think the actor who played Jake wasn't great, but also wasn't terrible. I think he was actually fine. There's really, he's one of those ones that I look at and I'm like, he's probably just more green than he is bad, but definitely green, oddly enough. Green. But again, I find him to be relatively problematic just because of the fact that, you know, he's so after Gia, and again, eventually she shows her affection. I think Saban just has a problem, and maybe it's also Judd Lin because Judd ran that season. No, he did not run that season. He did not. He did not. He came back during Dino Charge. I think Saban just has a very strange view of how to woo a woman to like you. Just because I think, you know, this is something that I see actually kind of frequently. I don't know. I just find it problematic. I don't like it. I think out of these three so far, he's the best actor, because I think with him, it's definitely just he was green. He just has a lot to learn, and I don't know if he's succeeding in that because I've not followed his career since then. I don't even know if he's done much since then. But for him, I think there's actually at least more hope that he'll actually be a pretty decent actor at some point, because I do see the potential there, but I don't see it in the other two at all. Number 10, I really hate putting him here, but the thing is that the others all have such great stories, and I feel like they really didn't do enough with him, but that's Damon from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I love Damon. I think Damon in the character itself, in the conception of the character, is really cool. I really like his character. I like his arc in general, even though there really isn't much of one. I feel like they really pushed him to the wayside. I feel like they didn't give him enough to really do much with, because they were so focused on Leo and so focused on his love story with Kendricks, and, you know, obviously so focused on his grief and everything like that. Trying to stay away from spoilers. The show shifted after certain things occur halfway through the series, and we focus on another character who comes in later, and I just feel like Damon really didn't get a lot. Plus Maya has such a huge role because obviously Miranoi is where the powers come from, and she's from Miranoi, and she has so much to learn about being with Earth humans. It's just, there's so much that goes on that I feel like Damon and Kai to an extent kind of get pushed to the side, but Damon specifically. But I like the conception of his character. His actor is fine. His actor, again, was very, very green at the time. But I think that he had some really great moments, like having to go fix the ship for Turkina. It was a very interesting kind of aspect to the show. Kind of like when the Power Rangers invited Lord Zed into the command center kind of thing, where it's like, we're kind of working with the enemy here, but it's, I don't know, I like Damon a lot, so that's why I hate putting him so low on my list. But at the same time, I feel like just for characterization purposes, for character development purposes, he has to be a little bit lower on the list, because that's how I'm kind of ranking all of these, is not just my own personal feelings, but where I stand with character development, where I stand with acting, where I stand with story, where I stand with the characterization itself. And I feel like he's lacking in a lot of story, but that's not obviously his fault. That is Saban's fault. That is Judd Lin's fault, and that just, it kind of sucks. But that's why he's as low as he is on my list. Otherwise, he'd be much higher. Number 9 on my list is Riley from Power Rangers Dino Charge. I really like Riley, and I don't remember why. It's been a while since I've watched Dino Charge. I've only watched Dino Charge all the way through once. I've seen bits and pieces, like episodes here and there since then, episodes that I liked, episodes that I remember, but Riley I just felt like was such a fun character. He was just an interesting dynamic within the show. He's one of the outsiders. He just has a really good quip. He's actually, honestly, a really good actor. And I know, again, kind of his actor, kind of like what we've said in the past about Shelby's actress, the actor is kind of in hot water with the community. He wants nothing to do with the Power Rangers community, which sucks, but at the same time, like, I don't get it, but like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. But yeah, I just think that he has some good qualities to him. I like, you know, everybody's characterization in Dino Charge. I feel like Dino Charge did so well with characterization. I really like how his arcs kind of move. I feel like he was integrated in the story really well. Yeah, I really like Riley, but I wish there was more specifics I could give. But unfortunately I need to rewatch Dino Charge. That might be next on my list. I might just rewatch Dino Charge, because Dino Charge was pretty good. Season 2 just made me not want to watch it ever again. Number 8 on my list is Carlos from Power Rangers Turbo. I really like Carlos. Carlos is one of my favorite characters, is my favorite character at some point in Turbo once Adam leaves the show. But I really like Carlos, and I really like the fact that they kind of set him up to be kind of a jerk initially. I really like when they do that because there's so many places they can take the character after that, where he's kind of set up as this kind of pompous jock jerk, kind of like Connor, but I feel like they did Connor better than they did Carlos, because I think once he became Power Ranger, they had to be like hero time now, where before he was a Power Ranger, because he was introduced prior to being a Power Ranger. I do feel like Carlos just was kind of an interesting start, where he's kind of this, I'm the best player on the team, and therefore I'm really cool. And Adam kind of took him under his wing and was like, no, you gotta be a nicer human than that. And I just think that I think that his characterization was really cool. I think his character development was really interesting, even though there really wasn't a ton after he became a Power Ranger. But who he was when we met him as a civilian versus who he was when he became a Power Ranger, very different things, very different characters, and I just really like that. And I think he added a lot to the story. Like I said, he's my favorite character. And from Turbo, plus the robot episode. I mean, I don't know why that affects me as much as it does. I think it's because I was 11 years old. Was I 11? I think it was 11. I don't know how old I was. I don't remember. I just remember I was around 11. But I think maybe it was because I was 11 when it happened, but that robot episode really just took me for a loop, and it was just a really cool aspect. Really? Whew, my light went out, man. I have to charge my new ring light. So now my lighting is different. What was I saying? I don't know, Carlos. Lost my train of thought. Let's just move on. Number 7 is Tommy from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So Tommy, I feel like, is such an overrated character. Let's just put it out there. And I know that a lot of people still really like him, hence the overrated part. But here's the thing. Jason David Frank is an actor. I wouldn't say he's a great one. And if he ever comes across this video, I apologize, but I am very picky when it comes to actors. But Jason David Frank's not a great actor. Let's just be honest. He never, I think, intended to be an actor. He was obviously a martial artist more than he was an actor, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Plus, the character is incredibly overrated. Plus, there is no really great character development, but the nostalgia is there. And the characterization is really cool because he does start off obviously as evil, and he really isn't evil. He's under a spell, a lot of different, aspects to that. And I do like the characterization, but I think mostly nostalgia puts him where he is, because he is the very first Green Ranger, and he obviously is a huge part of my childhood, and is one of the reasons I fell in love with Power Rangers, because the very first episode of Power Rangers I ever saw was the final episode of the Evil Green Ranger miniseries. So obviously I liked something about it. That's where he belongs in my list. Whew. Gonna get hate for that one, I'm sure. Number 6 on my list is Xander from Power Rangers Mystic Force. Xander is my favorite character from Mystic Force, aside from Nick. He and Nick kind of go back and forth on being my favorite character. I really like the characterization because I see a lot of myself in Xander, a lot of my problematic history. I do see Xander in there a lot, and I do really appreciate Xander. And because I understand kind of where he comes from to an extent. Obviously, I'm not an Australian who moved to the United States like his character is supposed to be from a young age and was picked on for his accent, but I definitely was somebody who never felt like she was good enough. And so when I became an adult and I went into the working world, I decided I needed to learn how to be good enough. And so I became incredibly problematic in a lot of ways. When I was so desperate to become important, to be the most indispensable worker, that I made a lot of enemies at work, at jobs that I've had in the past. So I see a lot of myself in Xander, a lot of my problematic past. And especially after he opens up to Nick about why he is the way that he is, it really spoke to me because it helped me to really understand why I was as problematic as I was. And it was because I didn't feel good enough. I was bullied in school. I had issues with family members. I'm not going to ever get into that publicly, but I had issues with family members that just made me never feel like I was ever good enough for anybody. that made me feel like I was worthless. And so when I had power to change that, I had power to make myself feel important, I became an insufferable human, trying so hard to become manager in retail, trying so hard to be indispensable, trying so hard to be better than everybody else, that I made a lot of enemies. And so the fact that Xander has any friends is astounding, because I certainly didn't. I really didn't. When I worked, I started having friends, and then they turned on me. And a lot of times back then, I never understood why. Looking back, I understand now why. But yeah, so that's why I love Xander as much as I do. And that's just me being very honest about who I am, and who I've been in the past. And so yeah, I really love Xander for that reason. So the characterization, I think, is key. I think Richard Braccatisano is a very good actor. You know, you'll notice that a lot with the Disney seasons. I'm going to say that they're all really good actors for the most part, because they just are. They had such a different pool when they were hiring from New Zealand and Australia, and Canada. They had such a different pool of actors. And I just really appreciate his acting. I think he's just an incredible actor, and I have followed his career. Like, I've watched other things that he's done, like Chasing Life, and it was really weird to hear him do an American accent in that. Number 4 on my list is Adam from Power Rangers Zeo and Power Rangers Turbo. And I think for this one was just mostly because, number 1, I think Johnny Young Bosch is an incredible actor. I think he's one of the best actors to ever walk the Power Rangers sets. Obviously, he's done incredible work since then in anime. One of my favorites being Trigon, where I really learned just what kind of actor he really was, because in Power Rangers, he really wasn't given enough to really showcase how good of an actor he is, but he did Trigon while he was doing Power Rangers. It came out long after. I didn't even know that. Jeff Nimoy told me that when we had him as a guest at GeekCon, and holy moly, I had no idea, because we were talking about it and he was like, oh yeah, you do realize he was doing Power Rangers at that time, right? And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, no, we filmed it, like we recorded Trigon back in like the 90s. And I was like, no. But yeah, so he really was able to showcase how good of an actor he truly honestly is. And if I'm completely honest, being somebody who's done a good slew of different forms of acting, I've done stage, I've done some film, I've done some voiceover. Voice acting is hard. Voice acting is one of the hardest. I've never done anime, so I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it is to do that. But you can't depend on body language, you can't depend on your face, you can't depend on showcasing anger with any form of sight. You have to showcase anger or sadness or happiness through just the voice. And so voice acting is so much harder than any other form of acting out there, in my honest opinion, because you have so much to showcase with just your voice, and you have to showcase it completely. And so just seeing how good of an actor he really truly was when I finally watched Trigon when I was 16 years old, I just was astounded at how amazing he truly is. So Adam deserves to be right where he is, because I think Johnny Young Bosch is such a good actor. I wish that they would have given him more to do more, but obviously, like, kid show, you can't give substance, I guess. I don't know, it worked for RPM, so but yeah, so I really do just love Adam. I think he was such a cool character. I kind of wish he could have been the leader, because honestly, I think Adam's personality was such a cool character to be a leader. But of course, I had to go to Tommy because it's Tommy. Number 4 on my list is Tripp from Power Rangers Time Force. Tripp, I love even more now that I've seen Time Ranger, let's be honest, because his character is so similar to the character in Time Ranger. They did such a great job of hiring somebody who could kind of take on that kind of infantile personality, but at the same time be so heartwarming. Like, they did such a great job in the Sentai, and then rewatching Time Force right afterwards and seeing that same characterization within Tripp, just astounding. I think that his actor, a lot of times I can't remember their full names, so that's why I just say his actor. If I remember their full names, I'll say it, but Kevin, I know. I just can't remember his last name. His actor is just so good. He does, like I said, he does that like very immature, but at the same time not personality so very well, and it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel forced like it could. It could honestly feel so forced. It could honestly feel so bad, but he did such a great job walking that weird line of kind of two just irreconcilable personalities. Like I said, he's so immature. He's such a kid, but at the same time so mature. And I feel like that's what they were trying to do with Joel going back to Lightspeed Rescue. I feel like that's what they were trying to do with Joel, but the actor couldn't pull that off right. They couldn't pull it off correctly. Another actor that really kind of pulled it off pretty well was the guy who played Max in Wild Force. I feel like he pulled it off okay, but again, I feel like the guy who played Tripp just did it so well, just so beautifully. So I just really, really like Tripp. I do. I think Tripp is just such a great character. I like his arc. I like his characterization. I like the actor. I love everything about Tripp. I think he's great. He's just not my favorite character because I like Jen and Eric a little bit more. Number 3 honestly surprised me. I didn't think I was gonna have number 3 where I have number 3, but that's Cam from Ninja Storm. Yeah, I don't know. Cam kind of surprised me. I think the actor's so good, and I think the characterization is really interesting. I feel like there's a lot of, and now that I'm watching Hurricaneer, I do feel like there's a weird disconnect, honestly. So it's gonna be interesting to watch Ninja Storm next, but I do really like what they did with Cam. I really like how they kind of evolved the character from being this like, I can't believe you're making these guys Rangers, to being just gung-ho for the team, to going back in time and becoming the Green Samurai Power Ranger, and then really just becoming such a great hero. I think that his heroic story is so interesting, and I'm really excited to watch Ninja Storm again. As I'll be honest, for some reason, Ninja Storm is something that doesn't stick with me for some oddball reason. I watched it a year ago, and I still am sitting there during Hurricaneer being like, I don't remember Ninja Storm. Like, I just don't remember it. So I'm interested to see it again. But the one thing I do remember is just the cool arc that they gave Cam. He's not my favorite character, but he's definitely up there. He's like number 3, or number 2, because I think Tori and Dustin kind of do the Nick Xander thing and the Connor Trent thing. They just kind of switch back and forth with each other a lot. And then Cam's like hanging out, being like, hey, those two are fighting for each other for number 1 spot, so I'll just be right here, content, happy. But yeah, so I really like Cam. I think he's really cool. And I'm excited to watch Ninja Storm again because I really do enjoy that character a lot. Number 2 on my list is Bridge, because obviously buttery. I love Bridge. Kind of going back to what I said about Tripp, I think that his actor does such a great job of kind of walking that line. He walks it a lot differently. He's not as outwardly immature. He's more eccentric than he is immature, but he has this really cool kind of like, I'm this eccentric character, but when I need to be the hero, I'm the hero. And I really like that. I really like what they did with Bridge. And the whole arc, obviously, of kind of what happens at the end and after SPD, since obviously we kind of get a glimpse of that thanks to the 15th anniversary special. We kind of get a glimpse of what happens after SPD, but because it's weird because SPD is still in the future. Even in Power Rangers today, even with Beast Morphers, it's still in the future. Not far off. We're almost there, but it's in the future. But yeah, so I do really like Bridge. His heart is what's so cool. Just like Tripp, his heart is what is really cool about the character. I love how he's on the floor sniffing like a dog, but at the same time, it ends up saving everybody. Like, I just really like what they did with the character, and I'm really interested in watching Deca Ranger to see how that character differs from Bridge or how he is the same. I don't know. Please, no spoilers of Sentai's in the comments. I don't want any spoilers. I only watch what's legally available in the United States, so obviously Deca Ranger is not one of those options right now. We're almost there. Almost there. But yeah, so I really like Bridge. I just think that his actor is so great. I think that his characterization is so cool. I love, you know, the character kind of developing in a different way. It's not really character development as much as it's kind of, it's still character development, but it's not like a personality character development. He doesn't change. He stays the same person he is from beginning to end. You know, obviously things happen that make it impossible for him to go back to where he was. So good character development, even if it's minor, but obviously his position within SPD changes. So there's obviously that. So I don't know. I just think that he's such a great character and I really adore him. So if you're paying attention and taking notes or realize what Power Ranger I haven't said yet, you should know who my number one is, and that is Ziggy from Power Rangers RPM. So Ziggy. What can't I say about Ziggy? The characterization is incredible. The actor is incredible. The character development is incredible. Just everything about RPM is incredible. Let's just be real. I don't think there's a single thing about RPM. Well, there's a couple things, but nothing like outwardly like, oh, that's just not okay. Aside from Judd Lynn's name being in the credits at some point. He becomes the showrunner again halfway through the season, but it's fine. Not enough to ruin it. I say that even though he ran like some of my favorite seasons. Anyway, he ran my actual favorite season. He ran half of my second favorite season. He ran my third favorite season. I mean, he ran a lot of seasons I love, but at the same time, I have my problems. Anyway, Ziggy. So I love Ziggy's backstory. I love how they kind of introduce him as kind of a mysterious character. You know, you don't know much. You know that he owes a lot of money to this mob boss. You know that he left the city and then came back and nobody understands why. Obviously, he and Dylan are arrested once entering the city again. You know, he didn't want to become Power Ranger, but became one anyway. You know, there's a lot to Ziggy, and there's a lot to that character that you didn't know initially until we saw the episode Ranger Green, and we got to learn about his history, about his past, and who he really truly is, and you know, kind of has this Robin Hood attitude in a way, obviously by stealing the medical supplies for the children who are sick. So like there's just so much to that character that I just think is so cool, and I just love his backstory. I love, you know, the character he kind of becomes. You know, obviously I do see this weird problematic nonsense with him going after Dr. K. But I think that his is different. You know, his wasn't, I'm in love and I want to bed this person, so I'm just going to keep at it until they love me back. I think the reason I find that so problematic is because I was in a situation like that at one point. It's a whole thing. Friend had a crush on me. He kept at it and at it and at it, and even pretended we were together at one point. It got weird. So maybe that's why I find that so problematic. But I think with him, it was more just, he's not used to people not liking him. And so the fact that she doesn't like him makes him want to make her like him. I mean, Dylan's kind of a similar thing. You know, so you see the same kind of interactions with Dylan where he wants Dylan to like him. I don't think he's used to people not liking him. So I think that's why I don't find that as problematic. But, you know, I just think that everything about Ziggy is so great. I just really love Ziggy. He's my number one favorite Green Power Ranger. So what do you guys think of my list of my favorite Green Power Rangers, ranking all the Green Power Rangers? Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Or do you want to punch me in the face because of where I put Tommy and Joel? Anyway, I'll see you guys all next time. Bye! If you guys would like to see me rank all of the blue Power Rangers, you guys can click right here. If you guys want to see me give you all of my favorite characters from every Power Ranger season, you can go ahead and click right here. You can always click here to subscribe. If you do, please hit the bell for notifications and comment on this video, like this video, share this video if you feel like you would like to do that, and I'll see you guys all next time.